Hey everyone, we are back for a brand new Black Series figure. Taking a look today at the first and only figure that I have for this wave so far. We've got a look at BT-1 today. I came across this at a GameStop. They started going up and I found a store that had one and I just couldn't resist, so I went and got it. So we are going to take I guess a kind of early-ish look because these are only just now hitting stores. So we've got him here in our standard Black Series packaging. You can see him there in the window. We've got artwork down there in the bottom corner, and then he is number 88 in the line, and we have a bio followed up with that artwork on the backside. So let's do it. Let's pull old Murderbot here out and take a look. And here he is out of the package, our BT-1, the newest astromech droid that we've gotten in the line. And of course he is going to be a lot of reuse, but there is definitely some different stuff going on with this figure. And you know, for those who maybe aren't aware, who don't get into the more extraneous stuff, this guy comes from the comic books, from the Dr. Aphra comic book. I'm not as into the Star Wars comics as I was, so I'm familiar with the character and I have read some of the stuff, but I'm not current by any means. So, you know, I might miss a detail here and there, but I'm fairly familiar with the murderous little droid in front of you. So let's take a look, see what this guy can do. I mean, if you've seen an astromech droid in this line, you pretty much know what's going on here because it's the exact same body from basically the trash can down. So we mostly just have to deal with all of his extra stuff. But let's see what he's got. So, of course, he's got a rotating head, and this head is just like all the other astromechs, the one that controls the, the inner leg there. So if you twist it, it'll pull that inner leg down, and then you can retract it as well. So you can have that kind of third leg, so he can be rolling along. And then if you get it locked in there, he'll start to click. We do have the extra pieces. These guys are removable if you want to pop them out. That's not really articulation, but you can remove them. And then we have got a hinge up here, so a double hinge, go back and forth, and then this moves back and forth as well, so you can do like a forwards blast or a backwards blast with this little Sega Genesis controller port missile launcher there. And then on the Gatling gun, it's got a hinge up here at the top. This one is also removable. Hinge up and down, and then this rotates, so you do have some movement there. It's a little bit more limited because the ammo is attached to the base here, so you've got that. And then the legs swivel in and out as usual, and then you've got the feet that swivel in and out as well. They do have the wheels on them. All three of them have the wheels. And then you've got the inner doors here that'll pop open. You know, there's a hinge there for the tools that are inside of him. So that's really, you know, pretty much standard stuff when it comes to Black Series astromechs. The only difference for this guy is that he, of course, has a different head, and he's got all the doodads up here, which do afford some mobility, so you can give him a little bit of personality, so it's not just two guns or two, weapons that are constantly facing forward. Now, as far as the overall look and feel here, I think for the most part Hasbro did a pretty good job, and I actually found a couple of things about this figure that I did not know were coming, and it's possible that they have revealed this and I just maybe missed it, but they do this from time to time, like with the Rebel Fleet Trooper, for example. They didn't ever advertise that he had butterfly joints. We didn't know that until people started getting them. So they do that every now and again where things can be done that maybe you weren't aware of, and I found something here that I was not aware of. So we do, of course, have the standard astromech body, and I'll do a comparison to R2 and R5 here in a bit, but you can just assume that from the the trash can down, like I said, he is pretty much the same. He does have some similarities to R2 from the neck down, and he's got some similarities to R5 from the neck up, if you want to call this a neck. We do have, the typical trash can design here with a lot of paint work on here. He does have kind of a metallic-y sheen to him. There's a bit of a sparkle in his plastic almost. It might be hard to pick up on camera, but it's there. There's a little bit of a sparkle to him. You've got, different colors here. We, of course, have got the doors that I mentioned with the tools on the inside, just like with the other droid, so that's nothing new. You've got more paintwork on the back. We've got his standard legs, which have removable pieces here, which we'll talk about shortly, as far as why. I do have some issues with the feet on these guys because the way that they're packaged, the feet actually hang down into two little slots in the tray, and he's kind of been pulled, so mine are both kind of skewed here. They are a little bit distorted, so I need to heat them up and kind of reshape them, and this one is really, really wobbly for some reason. I can't discern why just yet. It doesn't really seem to matter. I mean, frankly, it makes no difference. It doesn't matter once he's standing straight up. And then, of course, like I mentioned, you've got the inner leg here, which is pretty telltale stuff for an Astro Droid, and he does have a little swipe of paint down there, and you've got you know, a little bit of sculpt work on there, so pretty standard stuff as far as what we expect to find in this line. He is still a little, you know, kind of undersized for the Black Series line. I think he will ultimately look a little bit bigger because he does have all of the business going on up top, and I think that helps with scaling in terms of making him look a little bit bigger than he is. But really the main draw for this figure is, of course, everything that's going on at the top. And he does have a unique head sculpt. We've got a bunch of paint work, a bunch of line work, a lot of nice little detail around his center eye. You've got a little bit of line work on the back, not too much, but you know, it's all about the weaponry. So we've got some kind of scarring here, basically with you know, a little carbon scarring on his paint work there. You can see we've got some silver metallic paint on the plates on the outside. And one thing that I'd seen folks mention is if they were, you know, curious if you could make this look like a standard droid that doesn't look like he's out to kill you, and you can do that, but we'll talk about that here in a second. So you've got, you know, the missile launcher here, which is really nicely done. Like I said, it looks like a Genesis controller port. This is the fantastic weapon that he's got, though. The one that I like the most is his Gatling gun. A lot of detail, you know, in the ammo clip here. You know, you get the red on the inside of the barrel down in there, and then of course all of the actual ribbing on the barrels in the gun itself. So there's a lot of cool stuff going there. And these guys just pop in and out. He's got 2 slots in the head, and you can make him into a regular droid. So it's kind of tough to get these out sometimes, but these plates actually stick into the weapons. They're not part of the sculpt, and you can pop those on the side. You do have a seam, but you can make him look like a regular droid if you so choose, which I think is really cool. I did not know that they were doing that. I thought this was just going to be, you know, what you see is what you get. The way he comes in the package is how he's going to be. But I like the idea that you can do this because not everybody always wants him to be battle ready, and it gives you an option when it comes to how you want to display this guy. He does actually come with a couple accessories as well, and I mentioned that these guys pop off the legs. So these guys come off, you've got one on each side. So, you know, just like R2 does, where you can put the jets on him, but he doesn't have jets. So you've got a couple of different things here, and these guys, they seem like they can go in pretty much any side. It just depends on how you want to have them oriented. So you've got this guy here, which I have no idea what this is, some kind of like prod maybe, or like a shock prod, kind of like what maybe R2 has in his can. And then you've got this one here, which is clearly some kind of blaster that sticks out the side, or like another little missile launcher. So when you've got all of his accessories in place, he is fully armed and ready to throw down. So he's got everything kind of popped out and ready to go to battle. So there's a couple different accessories you can throw in there. So you can have him to be just a standard droid, you can have him with the stuff on the legs, the stuff on the head, a combination of both, or just have it all hanging out there with all of his armaments ready to go. And like I mentioned, here he is with R2 and R5. I've got other astromech droids as well, but these are the ones that really matter. So you can see that they're basically the same thing from the neck down. R5 does have a similar head shape. He's got that neck ring around him. But for the most part, they're all really the same thing. They just went to town in terms of making the head sculpt on this guy really unique, very different. And of course, like I said, he definitely looks bigger than both droids here because he has so much extra bulk. He's still not as big as he probably should be in some fashion, in certain ways, but I think all of the extra stuff hanging off of him is really going to help making him look like he meshes a little better with this line. So overall, this is a really solid figure. I have no gripes with the figure itself. You know, if you know anything about astromech droids, you know what you're getting in that regard. And then, of course, you have all of the extra stuff, a lot of paint applications, a great head sculpt, fantastic weaponry, the fact that you can make him into a non-murder bot if you so choose and take all those weapons off, or have him armed to the teeth. My only real gripe with this particular figure is my particular figure and how he was packaged. You know, I don't know if that's going to be a common issue where the legs are kind of warped and distorted, but it is for me, and it's definitely a negative, but it doesn't really impact the figure in any way, and I can kind of fix it a little bit. Otherwise, it's a good one. I'm glad I jumped on it earlier rather than later, now that I had the chance, and it's going to make a fine addition to the shelf. So I'd say snatch it up if you're even remotely interested in this character. So that's going to do it for this look at the Star Wars Black Series BT-1 figure. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until next time.